right, so let's talk a little bit about Project Hail Mary. I went and saw Project Hail Mary with Adriana a couple nights ago, and going into this movie, it was being touted as like the best fucking science fiction movie ever created and shit like that. And that's kind of a trend that's been going around a lot, is like as soon as something comes out, it's either got 100% Rotten Tomato score or it's got a 0. It's one or the other. It's getting kind of old, and I'm not as much paying attention to these types of scores anymore when I go and see movies, because it just seems disingenuous most of the time. A lot of times people are just making things up at this point to give a movie a certain rating, and it just doesn't work for me. I'm not a big fan of it. I like to be honest about how I feel about something, and I don't believe anything is like a perfect 100%. There's a couple things out there that in their own genre they're like perfect, but nothing is ever like 100%, and nothing is ever bad enough to be a 0 in my opinion. So that's always been kind of like my big thing with any science fiction movie that comes out, or any like horror movie that comes out. It's just always one or the other. It's either going to blow your fucking socks off, or it's going to just keep your fucking clothes on and you're going to be disappointed when you're walking out of the theater. Either way, like, it's just, this movie had that type of hype where it was just like, look at how much money it's making, look how good it is. And I will say it's warranted. It's a very good movie. It's very, very good. Like, it's unexpectedly like different in a lot of ways for the genre, and it kind of is refreshing in a lot of ways to see a movie that actually accomplishes what people were kind of expecting from it. It's based on apparently a book, and I've ordered the book already. I haven't read the book, so I can't tell you if it's like the most faithful adaptation in the world, but I do know they tried to make like a 3.5 hour cut of the movie, and Amazon was like, nah, you got to cut that down to like 2 hours and 40 if you can. And that's about how long the movie was. It was like 246 or something like that. So it is a long movie. It's a lot to sit through, but it's interesting. It's a lot of like, science stuff that's going on, a lot of like just like thinking, and just stuff that like the middle schooler, science fan in my head is really, really, that light bulb was blinking over and over again. That's kind of how the movie felt. It felt like I was always learning something new, and that's always fun, especially with a topic, like something that you enjoy personally. And I really enjoy science. So this is one of those types of moments. But the movie altogether is about, so we pretty much start off with Ryan Gosling's character. His name's Grace. He is a scientist, I believe, and he's now, I guess, on Earth, he's technically like an elementary school science teacher, but they kind of go back and explain a little bit about his past. I'm not going to spoil much about that, but he wakes up, he's got like this amnesia state going on where he has no idea what the fuck's going on, and it's because he was in a coma for like fucking, I don't know, God knows how long. It's pretty much the where they're going is like 11 light years away from where Earth is, so he's in a pretty much a coma state. He's comatose for majority, I think, the whole mission, pretty much leading up to when they get to where they got to go. So he wakes up, he's in like this kind of like, whoa, what the fuck's going on state. He's freaking out and everything. And this is definitely like the best parts of Ryan Gosling, is when he gets to kind of just be, I like to say it's just him, because it seems like the more he's progressed as an actor, he's gone from being like The Notebook, where he's like lovey-dovey, to being very brooding and very mysterious, and like Drive, and like Only God Knows, whatever that movie was called. There was a movie he was in where he was like super quiet and super weird. Drive was the first one, but there was another one, Only God Forgives, I think it was called. Weird fucking movie. But he's gone from that to being in the movie like The Nice Guys, where he was kind of really, really funny. And then it kind of has just gone on from there, where he plays Ken in Barbie. He's very charismatic in that movie. This movie is, I would say, the culmination, though. Project Hail Mary is the culmination of Ryan Gosling's like humor arc, where this is just him. Like, this is the perfect role for him. He plays it super well, and for majority of the movie, it's very much like Castaway, where it's like he's talking to himself. He's talking to the audience in a lot of ways, where he's kind of thinking to himself, kind of just talking through things on his own, and he's alone on the ship. That's kind of how it is. So the whole like beginning of the movie is kind of like okay, who is this guy? He's trying to remember, and you slowly start getting kind of drip fed the background of it all, when he first gets invested into the project, and all of this, kind of lead up to when he gets on the ship, and why he's in the coma and everything like that. So that's really all I'll give you about like the past. Pretty much the mission is, the Earth is in a catastrophic state where we're in the next like 3 generations. The Earth is pretty much going to be fucked. It's going to be done for. Climate change is going to happen. People are going to starve. Things are going to go bad. And it's because the energy from our sun is being sucked away, pretty much. So the energy of the sun is being sucked away by like these parasites, these alien parasites that we can see, but we can't get to them. We can't figure out what they're doing exactly. So pretty much the government or the human people decide to put together a little team, Armageddon style, and they plan to go to a far off, distant solar system where the aliens have already kind of taken over. They connect to different planets in the solar systems, and they start to feed off of the sun pretty much in that solar system. So our characters are going to this solar system to figure out why one of the suns didn't get drained. And that's pretty much the premise of the movie. That's what they're flying towards. And that's pretty much what gets unraveled as the movie goes along. I'm not gonna spoil much about it. There's a lot that goes into it. There's a lot of like, cool things that happen. I wouldn't say this movie though has like this like massive twist to it. There's not like a, oh my God moment. It's the fourth dimension. It's none of that. It's not like Interstellar where it's like you're waiting for a pin to drop. This movie's just straightforward like an adventure. It's pretty much, it takes place in a ship, and it's Ryan Gosling by himself. That's pretty much the movie. But at the same time, there's stuff that happens around that makes it really interesting. For example, midway through the movie, you get your CGI alien character that is like a companion to the main character. Most movies have this. And I mean, I think this movie definitely needed it because just Ryan Gosling by himself is fun, but it's not, on the level. You need like something cute to kind of keep you going. And what's funny about it being cute is the thing that kind of helps him out here. His name is Rocky. And he's like this CGI pile of rocks. And I'm emotionally invested into his character with him not even being like a cute little stuffed animal like character. He's just this pile of rocks who is a good guy. He's just a good dude, and he's just trying to, he's on like a similar mission as our main character Grace. He's on a similar mission to figure out why these aliens are eating away planets' energy and everything like that. So it's fun because you get two characters that are invested in the same thing, and they're both very similar. They're both very charismatic. They're both very fun, saying funny things all the time. There's a lot of just like witty humor here, like little moments where like they're talking to each other, and it feels like in a way like Castaway when Wilson gets involved, when he gets the Wilson ball and he's talking to Wilson, and it's just funny. It's sad, but it's funny, you know what I mean? But like in this case, Rocky is like a living being, and he's actually pretty cool. It's pretty fun to actually have in the movie with Ryan Gosling. They play off each other really well. One thing they did well in this movie that I was glad they didn't do was they didn't make Ryan Gosling and Rocky touch. They didn't like try to like create CGI that looks so good with them touching. They counterattack that by having Rocky not able to really take in our oxygen. So they invent like this like bubble that goes around him. He's like Bubble Boy pretty much. And whenever Ryan Gosling like wants to hug him, like when they accomplish something, they go to hug each other and he just hugs the bubble. And it's cute. It's very personal. And it makes sense. They didn't have to find a way to make it where like Ryan Gosling has to touch this thing's hand. You know what I mean? Like they didn't do that. And I like that a lot. They didn't have to worry about like how the CGI looked. And I thought it looked really good. I think it looks better when the main character doesn't have to touch the CGI character. I think it just looks so much better. And I think they did a really good job with it. I think they did a really good job with having that little sidekick character in the movie. Altogether, like this movie was a breath of fresh air for like this type of genre. Normally when you have these types of movies, these like space movies where like the main character wakes up with amnesia and everybody's dead, he's got this normally a thriller tone to it. They normally have like a thriller tone to it where it's like psychological horror. This movie did not try to do that at all. This movie, like the main character was the main reason why I like this movie so much. And it was because he wakes up, he's a little distraught, he's freaking out, but it's funny because you can tell he's like, this is who he is. He's just a guy that's like, what the fuck? What is going on? What is going on? But then he starts to slowly remember things. And he starts to figure out, oh, this is what I'm supposed to be doing. This is how I do it. But he's funny the whole time. And Ryan Gosling kind of uses his all around physical energy, just moments where he's so just out there that it's so relatable and it's so much fun to watch him where you're like, this guy's a lovable idiot. You know what I mean? He's a lovable idiot, but he's super smart. He knows what he's doing, but he's lovable and he's an idiot at times. And that's great. It's really relatable and it's really fun to see a character that's not just like brooding and like, I got to get home to my kids. I got to get back to Earth. This guy does not give a fuck about getting back. He's just worried about figuring out what the problem is. And from there, he'll figure it out. That's all it really is. And it's a breath of fresh air. When it comes to the visuals, the last thing I wanted to talk about, the visuals in this movie, they're really good. Very good visuals. The set pieces were really cool. There's a part where like he's like sitting in the pilot chair and every once in a while the camera will shift with his gravity and it looks really cool. Like the cinematography is really good in this. There's a couple really cool shots of like outside planets and everything like that. I wouldn't say it's on the level of like Interstellar when it comes to like you know, the just the visuals and like the adventure as a whole. This one is just straightforward. He's flying through space to get to this planet, get to that planet, figure it out from there. In Interstellar, they go from planet to planet in a lot of ways and moments, you know, especially with the planet that ages you faster and everything like that, the relativity. They didn't have anything like that. There wasn't anything like crazy like that in this movie. The stakes felt high, but they also felt, you know, hey, we can get it done. We'll get it done. You know, it's felt chill at times. And I think that's Ryan Gosling's acting that really pushed that tone for me. Altogether, though, I thought this movie was really, really good. Like, it was really fun. I would see it again to see the things that I missed. I heard there's like an Amazon like 4-hour cut that they're talking about releasing, like a director's cut. I would totally watch that. I think the one thing about theater visits for me nowadays as like a 30-year-old man, I get tired of sitting in one seat for 2 to 3 hours at a time. You know, even when I'm streaming, I need to get up and kind of walk around and, you know, go get a drink or something. This is one of those movies where you don't want to get up because there's so much going on. But at the same time, it's like, God, I need to stand up, dude. Like this just, oh my God. Like there are slow moments in this movie where you're like, oh, I'd like to get up. I'd like to get up and stretch a little bit, but it's worth sitting down and watching it. It really is. It's a really good movie. I think this is a movie that's more lighthearted, more Disney friendly, I would say, for the audience, rather than like an Interstellar. You know, an Interstellar felt like it was more of like a do or die type of thing. And this movie is too, but it doesn't put a crazy amount of emphasis on like, remember, Earth is going to die. Remember, Earth is going to die. It's in the back of your mind. You know that. You know the mission. Ryan Gosling knows the mission in the end, but he's having a good time and he's trying to figure things out as he goes. And that's what's really fun about this movie. It feels like an actual adventure with just one character though. And that's really weird. It's really hard to like do that. And I think they did a great job. I think the hype is warranted for this movie. They spent a fuck ton of money making it, and I could see why. A lot of good visuals. This is from the guy who created The Martian, and if you like, you'll notice with The Martian's the same way with Matt Damon, where it's like, it's a dreadful situation. It's a horrible situation where you're stuck on Mars. You're stuck on a planet that you cannot inhabit, or you can't, you know, you can't grow anything on. You can't do much on. But he's charismatic. And he figures it out without freaking the fuck out and without being scared the whole time and without there being like this huge threat in the background chasing after him. There's none of that. It's just like that movie. It's very similar in tone, where it's just like main character's very charismatic. You fall in love with him in a lot of ways, and his charismatic nature brings you through the movie and makes you happy as the movie progresses. There are a lot of emotional scenes here, and they're good. They're very good. Like there's a moment I almost cried in this movie. Like there was just so much beauty in the way the characters like Rocky and Grace speak to each other. There's just so much friendship there, and I really like this movie. It was very much warranted for the hype. I wouldn't say it's like a 10 out of 10 or anything. I don't think many movies, like I said in the beginning, I don't think many movies are a perfect 10 or a flat 0. I think this movie is a solid like 9 out of 10 though. I think this is, if you're going to take the family to see a science fiction movie and you want there to be a main character that doesn't like overly cuss, there's not a bunch of blood or anything like that. It's not like your normal science fiction, like horror type thing. This is more so just like a minor suspense with an adventure attached to it. Like it's a minor suspenseful adventure, and it's just really fun. It's really fun. This is a movie I could see like in like the next like 5 years, 10 years, teachers dragging a TV into the classroom and having their kids in the classroom watch this movie periodically, because there is a lot of science going on here. There's a lot of experimenting, a lot of fun, like just all around like building of like the science stuff that's going on, and I really appreciated it. So all in all, I think this movie is pretty fucking good. I would go and see it again. And yeah, I mean, it's not Interstellar, you know, it's not even close to Interstellar. Interstellar is its own thing. I think Christopher Nolan created his own amazing science fiction movie that could be counted as one of the best ever made. I think this movie, just like The Martian, is in like a capsule where it's like these movies on their own are just so goddamn good as science fiction movies. Like you could watch these on their own. They don't have to be a part of like this like hierarchy. These are just on their own. They're just really fun movies with really good main characters, really cool stakes involved. Awesome movie. Great movie. So yeah, with that being said, that's really all I had to say about it. Go see the movie. It's cool. Thanks guys.